When the narcissist finally realizes what they lost, isn't it about time for that? After everything they put you through, taking you for granted, you gave them everything. You gave them your love. You were infatuated with them. You were all over them. You couldn't get enough of them. And all you wanted from them was more. More of their love, more of their affection, loyalty, commitment, devotion. That's what you wanted. And that is what they didn't want to give to you. They left you chasing after them. You were running endlessly like a hamster on a wheel, but you could never get close to them. You could never get the result that you wanted. But they were lapping it up. Your attention, validation, admiration. They were loving that, getting that from you. Until finally you had enough. You just couldn't do it anymore. You were fed up of giving everything and getting nothing back in return. So you stopped. You came in towards yourself. Maybe you went no contact. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you ended the relationship. And now, yes, finally, the narcissist is about to realize what they lost. No, they can't do that. That is never gonna happen. Not if you're dealing with a true narcissist. Someone who is a clinical NPD. They're never gonna be that way towards you. They're never gonna be loving, affectionate, kind. Even if it seems like they are, it's all an act. It's only because they know that's what you want. It's just their manipulation, deception, love bombing. They're never gonna be that way with you or with anyone else. That's never gonna happen. It's never gonna be a reality. Narcissists cannot love. They cannot feel what you feel. Affection, intimacy, that does nothing for them. They just use it as a source of validation, power, and control. And that's all that it's used for. So I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble on here, but as you know, I just like to give you the truth. If you're dealing with a full-blown NPD, it's never gonna happen. They're never gonna love you. They're never gonna be truly affectionate towards you. They're never really gonna care about you at all. They're only ever gonna care about themselves. They're only ever gonna do what's in their best interest. Whatever's gonna get them what they want from you. What they may feel is the absence of your supply. They may recognize that they're no longer getting attention, validation, admiration from you. Possibly money and resources as well. They may become aware of that, especially if they haven't got too many other sources of supply. If it's just you, then of course, yeah, they're gonna recognize a loss of control. Nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with valuing you as a person. You are a tool. You are an appliance. You're just something where they just push a button and it makes them feel good. It makes them feel better about themselves. That's all that it is. Never anything more. Not when you're dealing with a true NPD. That is never gonna happen. There's never gonna be any sense of loss of a connection. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna be like that. They're never gonna love you. They're never gonna connect to you. But yeah, they may experience some form of discomfort. But even then, they're going to be very defensive around it. They're gonna mask it with anger, blame, and fantasy. And even then, it's got nothing to do with you as a person. They don't even care about who you are. It's all about the role that you can play for them. And that role revolves around you worshipping them, putting them at a pedestal, making them feel validated, admired, superior, powerful, attractive, desirable, intelligent, charismatic. It's all about them. It all revolves around them and their false image. How can you make them feel? Can you make them feel larger than life? Can you make them feel like they're the greatest person in the world? And if not, then will you submit to them? Will you comply, conform, to make them feel like they're above you? That's all that it's about. That's all that they want from you. Nothing else, only supply. And when they're no longer getting that from you, they get angry. They blame you. Or they turn to fantasy. So they never miss you as a person. They never do, not a true MPD. Someone who's narcissistic, yes. But when we're talking about someone who has 4, 5 of the traits that are mentioned in the DSM-5, they're only ever going to miss the attention and validation. And especially with a true MPD, it's likely that that could come from pretty much anyone. It may not be as potent as what they were getting from you. It may not be. But they're delusional. They can just go into denial. They'll tell themselves that what they have now is better than what they have with you. It's better than what you could have provided. If they could not have controlled you, they will settle for something far less as long as they can get that control. That's what MPDs do, because at the end of the day, all they want is power and control. And they may notice that their life feels emptier without you, but they will fail to link it to their own actions. They're not going to see it as though it's something they caused. They're going to see it as though you were faulty, you were defective, you weren't good enough for them. Because if you were good enough for them, then how come you couldn't fulfill their needs and expectations? So at the end of the day, they're going to see it as though that's your fault. No MPD is ever going to blame themselves. They're not ever going to think that there was something wrong with them, or that they could have done more, they could have been better, they should have taken better care of you in order to sustain the relationship. They're not going to think that way. They're never going to see it like that. And they're not ever going to feel sad over the relationship. They're not ever going to feel heartbroken. They may experience a wounded pride, wounded ego, revolving around their own self-importance, but not anything as it pertains to you. They're not going to feel anything to you. They're never going to feel a true loss. The only loss they're going to feel is over the control. And that's all that's going to make them feel insecure, to the point where they may seem upset. They may seem hurt. They may seem irritated. But it's nothing to do with you. It's over their own ego and pride. It's just affected their sense of self-importance, their false image. Those feelings aren't for you. They're not feeling sad for you, even when they cry. They're just feeling sorry for themselves. It has nothing to do with you. And this is why many of them, they will just go to fantasizing about a better replacement. Someone who's ideal, someone who's perfect, someone who can just give them everything they want. Someone who can take care of them in ways that they believed you never could. And this is all so that they can avoid facing their failure. Because deep down, they may have some awareness of what they did. Most narcissists, they really are just in denial. NPD is characterized by denial. They're shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame. And this is why many of them may just spiral into self-pity. They may just see it as though everyone betrays them, rather than taking accountability. It's not to say that they won't come back. Many of them may hoover you. Typically, on average, a victim gets hoovered 7 times before it's finally all over with an NPD. In some cases, they may even stalk you. They may even become obsessed with you. But even then, it's nothing to do with love, nothing to do with affection, nothing to do with intimacy. It's a loss of validation, admiration, attention that all revolves around themselves. It all revolves around their ego, their pride, their false image. It all revolves around a loss of control, which then resulted in them feeling insecure. Nothing to do with you whatsoever. You're merely a tool, an appliance, an object that exists to serve them, to validate them, to worship them. That's all. That's all that it is. Never going to be anything more, not with an NPD. And this is why many of you may have clicked on this video, because maybe you're wondering, when are they going to finally change? When are they finally going to have this epiphany? When are they going to realize what they lost? How valuable you are? And if you have that mindset, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. And nothing's ever going to change. Nothing's ever going to get better. Because they're going to be this way for life, in most cases. Most NPDs are never going to get better. They're never going to change. They can change their behaviors temporarily. But even then, it doesn't mean that it's genuine. It's not because they care about you. It's still because they just see it as though that's what serves them best. So yeah, that's what you can expect from a full-blown NPD. They're never going to realize what they lost. They're going to remain in denial. They're going to turn to fantasy. They're going to blame you. They're going to get mad at you. They're never going to see your side. They're never going to see your point of view. They're too injured. They're too traumatized. They're constantly in survival mode. They can't think about anything other than surviving. They can't think about love, connection, intimacy. They're very paranoid. It's never a safe environment for them. They never feel comfortable. So how can they ever think about that? Someone who's narcissistic, different story. If it's someone with just maybe 2 or 3 narcissistic traits, yes, they can realize what they've lost. Yes, they can love. Yes, they can miss you. They can experience intimacy. That's a completely different ballgame. It's a massive difference. Someone with narcissistic traits who can have some self-awareness, they can make genuine changes, experience genuine remorse, completely different thing to someone with NPD. Just as someone with NPD, that's a completely different thing to someone who has psychopathy. It's almost incomparable. And that's why they have a separate disorder. And that's why someone with just mild narcissistic traits cannot be given an NPD diagnosis. And I'm just speaking from my research here. I'm not a clinician myself. But yeah. a true NPD, in most cases, they're never going to have that realization. They're never going to have that epiphany. They're never going to look inwards. They're never going to self-reflect, take accountability. They're never going to value you truly as a person. It's just never going to happen. So if you know that you're dealing with someone who has NPD, you can just forget about that altogether. They're never going to love you like that. It's always going to be revolving around their own self-importance, their own self-image, validation, admiration, a form of worship, and they're going to go wherever they can get it, wherever's easiest for them, wherever they can regain that sense of control if they can't get it from you any longer. Even though yours may have been more potent, they're going to convince themselves and remain in denial and just tell themselves that, no, it's actually better with this other person. Because then they've got full control. So that's really it. They're not going to realize what they lost. They may realize they lost the supply, the money, the resources. They may realize that. Even then, they're just going to deny it to themselves. They're going to turn to fantasy, to anger, blame. They're not going to accept something that they can't control. They're not going to accept something that they can't change. Something that's just going to cause them to feel shame or to have to take accountability. They're going to avoid that at all costs and just continue on in their little fantasy worlds where it's more comfortable for them. So that's my message for today. I just got out from the brain. And I really just wanted to share this message with you. So I hope it helped. I hope it was informative. If it was, give it a thumbs up. And share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about what I've shared to you. And if you've got anything to add, or if you disagree with anything I've said, let me know. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear from you. I'm always looking to learn new things as well. If you're new here, subscribe, click on notifications so that you'll be notified when I go live again. For one-on-ones, you can book by going to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. Donate by going to paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And also, you can follow me on my Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. So that's it for this one. Thank you all for joining me. And I will talk to you in another live video very soon.